Ladies, gentlemen, and young ladies, good evening to all or good morning. The headlines of international news: Benjamin Netanyahu redirects against Egypt, and very recently, Egypt and Turkey had to sign an agreement of military cooperation to be able to face Israel. So on this September 20th, 2025, Israel did not see all this in a good light. Israel then takes out an old file which will allow Israel to have legitimate and legal justifications for can definitely start hitting Egypt. Yes, God forbid. Besides, I love Egypt. I like it Egypt. And I wouldn't like that Egypt finds itself in situations similar. But the problem is that fear has changed sides. Israel is now afraid because Israel saw how its neighbors around are getting put together against him. So Israel accuses Egypt to violate a precious agreement which has passed since 1979. And this agreement, as we call it, is the Camp David peace agreement. This agreement, Israel cries out and sounds the alarm. Israel says that this agreement is in danger because that Egypt began to violate this agreement. So Benjamin Netanyahu made this remark, made this claim that he believes to be legal to the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, therefore the head of diplomacy American. He even sent him a list of acts of flagrant violation, according to him, of the Camp of David agreement, which was made by Egypt. It means, in a way, he wants it American validation so that it still start these things with Egypt. Unfortunately for him, Egypt is now in under the military umbrella, who reads it with Turkey in the image of NATO Article 5. So what's going on? Concretely, as part of this video conference, it is from this news that we will speak. But before continuing, I would like to humbly ask to share this video conferencing to the maximum. It is necessary share in all groups possible. You have to put a lot of heart, and don't forget to leave your different opinions in the comments. What is the content of the denunciation? By Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu handed over to the US State Secretary Marco Rubio a list of violations committed by Egypt in Sinai. Yes, it is in Sinai. You remember at least Sinai? I think so, if I make no mistake, that this is where Moses received the 10 Commandments. So this is an area buffer, a disputed area for a very long time. So a peace agreement had been signed since 1979. So 3 main points were registered in the claims in Benjamin's violation list, Netanyahu. First point, he says he had the infrastructure construction military offensives in areas limited to small arms. So one construction of infrastructure offensive military in areas restricted to weapons light. So Egypt would have built obviously infrastructure military, which should house equipment extremely dangerous military personnel. However, in this area, the type's infrastructure should house obviously small arms. Secondly, he talks about the lengthening of the runways aerial to accommodate fighter jets in Sinai. So they built airstrips very elongated to accommodate fighter jets. This means that Egypt is becoming a great power that will receive large fighter jets from this part there and build such infrastructure military at the gates of Israel. No, Israel cannot not tolerate this as vice emperor of the world. Thirdly, the construction of underground bunkers suspected of stockpiling missiles. This is the part that makes it look like the Egyptian situation to the situation Iranian. So Israel says, when outside of all that Israel quoted, as if all this was not enough, Egypt built underground bunkers who are suspected of storing missiles, and it will necessarily be nuclear missiles, certainly. So Israel talks about the violation substantial of the 1979 peace agreement. And so he informed the United States of America. What will be the role of the United States of America? The role of United States of America, America is a guarantor of peace in the area. So Washington is a signatory and guarantor of the Treaty of Camp David. So Netanyahu demands that the United States put pressure on the CER to respect one's commitments. This means clearly what the K has built, we have to demolish. We have to demolish everything. That's it. And so there is direct pressure on Marco Rubio. Netanyahu is testing the strength of the America-Israel alliance in a zone explosive. There you go. So a purple treaty without reaction is a treaty already buried. That means if America doesn't react, no, don't put pressure on the CER so that the K can respect its commitments. And Netanyahu obviously goes consider that this treaty is already buried, and therefore what he will want to do, he will do. Here is why we say that there is the risk. And Egypt had understood very early. That's why Egypt very recently, it is really good agitated. The establishment of the signing of an agreement of extremely military cooperation, powerful between Turkey and Egypt in long. And so what are the issues? Strategic and regional risks. And so the Sinai is a buffer zone since 1979. Sinai thus becomes a field of military suspicion. For Israel, there is a risk of encirclement by an Egyptian army reinforced at its doors. Israel does not want to be surrounded by an Egyptian army. For Egypt, it is the will of secure the Sinai against terrorism. But this will is interpreted by latent Tel Aviv, a gentle threat, a calm threat. So it's heating up on this side, and for the moment we are going, continue to follow this news. All what will result from this, we will come back to speak here on the awakening platform of consciences. In any case, it's heating up on Israel. Ladies, gentlemen, and young ladies, that was the headline news international. Please share it with Maximum. I'll get back to you later, by the grace of the Almighty, with new news. So it was the voice of your humble servant, the Samurai.